The power of giving. When you give something, especially charity, money, we feel that we're giving something away. Something that could give me life, give me a better life. And it makes it hard to give. But the truth is, tzedakah, charity, comes the word tzedek, means righteousness. So not only is it the right thing to do, but it's a righteous thing to do. But more than that, the money really doesn't belong to us. It was only given to us in order that we could do good with it. The previous Rebbe called money manure. Manure. Manure stinks. Money stinks. Money stinks on its own. But manure, when you put it into a garden, it makes the vegetables grow so much better. Money, when you put it for something that has value, to grow your family, to grow your community, to grow another person's life by giving them, then the manure becomes a fertilizer that makes you grow, makes life grow, makes the world grow around you, around all of us. That's the power of giving. So you're not actually losing, because first of all, it's not yours, doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. But secondly, not only that it belongs to God, but by doing what God wants you to do with that money, you are not only fulfilling your purpose, but you're fulfilling the whole reason why you're given the money to begin with. So not only you don't lose, you're actually gaining. So the money becomes a vehicle on how you could actually have so much more. 7:45. You have so much more in your giving. That's what is the real truth. Imagine if we all looked at our money that way. It wouldn't be so difficult to give. Then as we learned in Chumash, you won't hold on to it, or even when you release it and then you have second thoughts, you do it with great joy in giving. Whoever didn't get a chance yet to give to our monthly Chai Club, you still have the opportunity. Chai. With Chabad Zichre. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichre in Kadesh, Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We conclude today the 8th letter. In this 8th letter, the Alter Rebbe is speaking about giving and the power of giving, that you get to experience something in this world that's really out of this world. What's that? What's out of this world? To experience God. God that's out of this world, to experience him in this world. To experience the connection to God that is beyond, that you can have an experience of that. Now, where is the apropos time that you're going to experience that? It's in prayer. Because in prayer is about the heart and digging deep in our heart. And when you dig deep in your heart, you come to a point of the reality of God in your consciousness, your awareness, and the reality of the world. And you could sense a deeper connection. However, to get there, you can't just get there. You need something that will help you to get there. And that's the charity that you give before your prayer service. As the Talmud tells us, Rebbe Lazar, that he would, before engage in his prayers, he would give a coin to charity to someone in need. Wow. Simple act of giving elicits such a divine kindness that you could experience a connection to God, which that, by the way, is the ultimate in what you can experience. Is not, giving that you feel good, that you gave, you fulfilled your purpose. All that is amazing. But this is even more. This is even more, that you experience a divine connection. That's a lot more than just feeling good about yourself that you did a mitzvah and you did what God wants from you and you fulfilled your purpose, which is that itself, that awareness itself is something profound. But this is more than that. This is a greater statement than that. That's in your prayers, that you can actually experience that deep, profound connection with the divine. That's a divine kindness that God allows us to have that. Not to feel our feelings, that we can have, but to feel the divine connection in your prayers, because you preface before that giving. Now, what does that do? So we gave the metaphor, and this is where we're going, right? The act of giving charity, right, is us rooted down here below that ascends upwards, elevates to the root of our souls. All of the Jewish souls are rooted together. It's called Knesset Israel, the congregation of Israel, right? That's the source of all Jewish souls. And that's the lights and the revelation of the emotive attributes of the divine. So in the terminology of the Zohar, that's called Ema Tata, the lower mother, which refers to Malchus, right? Malchus in the divine order of things is the source of all the Jewish souls. So in other words, your giving down here is not just affecting the Jew down here who you gave to, but it's affecting all the souls above, right? In their root source.
When you give tzedakah.
When you give tzedakah, right? Which is what we also call in the Talmud the Shekhinah, where the divine presence of God rests, right? And that's then elicits from on high, when you touch that place up there, divine kindness, the attribute of God's chesed, right? In other words, our kindness down here arouses God's kindness up there in the source of all, where the souls are united above, right? Which our soul is right there now too, right? That's the core of our soul is up there. We just have the neshama, ruach, and nefesh part within us. There's still a part of us that's beyond us, right? That we have access to. Here we have access by giving the tzedakah. We create that. We elevate now from down here, right, to our act of kindness down here, that we elicit now an immeasurable kindness from above. And what is that kindness from above? Is an intense light of God, right, that will light up our soul. When is it going to light up our soul? When there's the appropriate time for lighting up the soul, which is in prayer, right? That's when the soul is illuminated, during prayer. And now, how is that possible? That the greatness of God is unfathomable. So how do we experience that in our prayer? Everything before God is esteemed as nothing. And you're going to have that sense in your prayers? How's that possible? So, says the Alter Rebbe, where do you see God's greatness? Where do you see the greatness of anybody, actually? Isn't there humility?
Isn't there?
Humility, right? What does that mean? So God's humility is that he allows us to experience something that is unfathomable. That is not, that's, how can we have that? Everything esteemed before God is nothing. So how can I experience something that's way beyond me? I'm a something. How am I going to experience that? Right? That's God's humility. What does it mean, his humility? Humility means that you can take something that's very lofty and bring it to a low place, like water, right? Water it starts on top of the mountain, but it always descends to the lowest place, right? That's the concept of God's kindness. Kindness is metaphorically like water, but that kindness is really embodied in humility of God, that he brings it to a low place, meaning we humans, physical limited people, that will be able in our prayers to experience the unfathomable of God. Right? That's what God does. Now, why does he do that? Right, in a place, in a place down here of a soul and a body in your prayers, where you're going to take the darkness of our human condition and transform that into a divine light of God that will illuminate us in a time of prayer. Now, what elicits all that is the tzedakah before the prayer. That's what elicits it. That's why it's very important before your prayers, give tzedakah, right? Give me a few coins just in a pushka, right? In a charity box. Absolutely, right?
That goes to all three prayers? Or is basically
I mean, the chakras is the main one, but the other ones too. Yeah, but the main, because it's the Amida where it's the pinnacle of the prayer, right? We have that 3 times. This is then the idea of the God, that it causes deliverance. Giving charity causes deliverance to sprout forth. And when you sow tzedakah, the term is sow charity. You put the seed into the ground, right? And it dissolves, meaning in our humility of the act of an act of kindness, of giving, we sow now to elicit a power greater. What's that power? Mother Earth. What's Mother Earth? Malchus, right? I call Mother Earth. It's eliciting the power of the earth, right? That has the power now to make something grow. It's not the seed that's making something grow. The seed is only eliciting a power greater than itself of the earth to make something grow, right? So the same thing as my act of charity is eliciting something much greater. My act of charity is, how could that possibly give me an illumination of intense light of God that I can experience in my prayer? How could charity do that? Well, because that's the metaphor of that seed that you put in, that's nothing, that seed. And it makes many times over that seed, it makes innumerously more than what that seed is. Not only that's quantity, even quality. It makes a fruit-bearing tree, a fruit that is delicious and pleasant to the eye, as opposed to a seed is nothing. It itself decomposes to allow, right, it eliciting something greater than itself, the power of the earth, as therefore we call it Mother Earth, right, to make something grow. So the same thing as my charity is eliciting something much greater than me, right? Because it's touching the root source of all the souls, of Malchus of Atzilus, of the divine attribute of God, that now is an intense light of God, that in the moment of prayer, I can have that intense moment of connection to the divine. And that's a salvation that sprouts from charity. Because it's literally God giving that to me, right? Not like I created something here. I elicited it through the act of my kindness, but it's something so far superior than what I've done, and therefore that's kind of the salvation that sprouts forth from charity. And this is right? Therefore, you now not affect only yourself, but also, since you're touching the source of all souls, which is Malchus Vatsilis, which is also called the desired land, right? Because what's land? The lowest point of anything, right? Is land. What's above the land? Water. What's above water? Air. What's above that? Fire. So of all four elements, land is the lowest, right? That's Malchus, the lowest of all the divine attributes. And therefore, God's kingship, Malchus, is the Malchus of every world. Malchus cha Malchus kol elamim, as we say in the Ashrei. Your sovereignty, the sphere of a Malchus, is the sovereignty that serves the source of all worlds. In other words, it gives vitality to all the worlds. Right? This applies most particularly when one sows charity in the Holy Land. Why? Because the Holy Land is a mirror reflection of the higher Holy Land, which is Malchus of Atzilus. Right? Malchus being, again, the lowest of the 10 divine attributes. So it's called Holy Land above, and that's reflected in the Holy Land down here below. Why do we call it the Holy Land down here? Because it's a reflection of the holiness above, of Malchus of Atzilus. So it's specifically, right, it's juxtapose it. So specifically when you give charity there, right, then it's immediately the charity is absorbed. In other words, by giving there, you're eliciting the holiness above. So since it's a mere reflection, it's absorbed there immediately. As opposed to when you give charity here in Montreal or any other place, it's not absorbed immediately because this land is not a direct conduit, right? A direct reflection of the source of all vitality, which is God's sovereignty, his royalty, the word of God, the Malchus of Atzilus, which we call land above. As this is the land of Israel, Shar Shamayim is the gate to heaven because of the direct connection, right? As opposed to outside of the land of Israel. That doesn't mean giving outside the land of Israel isn't a mitzvah. Obviously, it's a mitzvah. It's just not absorbed above as quickly as it is when you give charity in the land of Israel. This will suffice for the discerning. And if you didn't discern it, guess what? We'll learn it next year again. Any questions? Frank has a question. When saying God is outside this world, does that mean he's separated from the world? Though connected, we become attached to the divine. So that was in the Maimer this morning, and the Hasidic discourse this morning. So there's the aspect, there's three dimensions when we speak about God in our kind of awareness of him. There's God within the world, how he is, right, contracted upon his light. He has taken his word and take the words that are in the 10 statements in the book of Bereshit, in the act of creation, and he substitutes gematria to create not water, because water is one of the 10 statements, but a cup. Right? God's creating this right now, this cup. Yeah, and people say it's man-made, so what do you mean? Man only formed the cup. Man didn't create the cup, right? A man cannot create a single thing. All a man can do is form things. Can take from energy, make matter, from matter, make energy, right? Those are the ultimate forms, two forms. But we can only form things. You can take silver, make it malleable, and make it into a goblet, to a silver Shabbos becher, goblet to make kiddush. So that's what we can do. But God creates, right? God creates. He creates intimately from within. He creates beyond, meaning not specific to the created thing, but the way he encompasses, and then he creates that there's nothing but him. Those three elements, right? All of them, God is present. It's not that he's not here. The question is, in what manner is he present? Is he enclosed, not enclosed? or there's nothing but him. Right. Anyways, so when we say outside of the world, we don't mean that he's not present within the world in that form. He's just not right. The soul is enclosed within the body, and that's why therefore the soul is affected by the body. So when we follow our bodily desire, the soul is captured and enslaved and imprisoned by the body. God is not imprisoned and enslaved by our actions down here, and therefore he's caught up in it and affected by it. He's beyond it by what we do. Not because he doesn't care. That's a different point. Okay, I hope that was clear, Frank. David has a question. Is it every prayer and every time a prayer that we can feel this? I give tzedakah in my pushka before davening, but I don't feel it every time I daven or every day that I daven. Well, I don't feel it either. This is not saying that you will. Just because you gave charity, you will feel this divine connection, right? Not your feelings. It's not your feeling your feelings. That's not what we're talking about here. We feel our feelings, right? How do we know we feel our feelings? Well, when you get upset, that's when you know you feel your feelings, right? Otherwise, you might not know. We're not talking about feeling your feelings. We're talking about sensing, right? Sensing a divine connection. That's a very difficult thing. Just because you gave charity makes it possible that you can experience that. But I don't think I experience it too much, right? I don't think. Eda, or is it Simcha? Simcha, right? Today's learning is in honor of the 7th yard site. Simcha, what's your daughter's name? It's her 7th yard site. May her neshama go from strength to strength. To give her name, her Jewish name, her father's, if her father's Jewish name, if not your Jewish name, in honor of her yard site. Also, today but is my birthday, so I want to give everybody here a blessing. Eda, okay, Simcha, give her. Give everybody here a blessing. So something unique about the Jewish way that the Rebbe expressed to us and shared with us after the passing of his wife, a month later was her Jewish birthday. And just a little over a month later, the Shleishim was her Jewish birthday. And the Rebbe instituted that we should celebrate our birthdays, even though that was not a Jewish thing to do. Jews sometimes didn't even know when they were born. Around Hanukkah, a few days before Sukkot, like that's what they knew. Because whatever wasn't a Jewish thing. As a matter of fact, in the Chumash, there's only one person that we know that celebrated his birthday. Who was that? Anybody know? Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh. It's the story of Yosef, right? On the day of his birthday, it was a big celebration, and he was left at home with Potiphar, and the whole story, right, that happened there. That's the only mention. So Pharaoh's not exactly the embodiment of something Jewish. But the Rebbe changed that all around, or revealed something that we didn't know, and that a birthday is really God saying that you matter to my creation, and therefore I bring you into this world because you matter on this day that I brought you into this world. And hence every other birthday is God making that statement that you matter to the world that I've created. I need you. Without you, the world doesn't go around, right? That's what it means. And therefore, it's a day that we have to think about. Did I really make an impact this past year? Did I make the impact that I should be making, or can I make a greater impact? So it's a day to be inward and to think about that, a day to add in Torah and mitzvahs, to add another mitzvah, to study more Torah. It's a day to make a resolution how you will do more. And it's also, since it's a very special day, because it's the day that you're mazel, that the strength of your connect, of your where you come from above is open. So it's a day you can bless others. So that's what I'm going to do, is give everybody a bracha, give you all a blessing. Firstly, that you should have everything that you need in your life, that you truly need, that you need in your life, materially and spiritually. That you should have it all beyond, above and beyond what you can imagine. God should bless you um, with His open hand, and it should be in a manner that you have great joy in your life, that you um, can share that joy with others, that you have peace in your home, that you have um, joy from your children, children's children, and children's children, that you should have and see them going in the path of God, of Hashem, Torah mitzvahs, and that you should be blessed um, to make a greater impact in the forthcoming year, and only B'simcha b'tuv levav, revealed goodness in everything. Only revealed goodness. L'chaim, l'chaim, Mazel.
I have a question in terms of
Yes,
tzedakah. Is there a difference between the tzedakah that you give to the pushka as opposed to an online donation?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a distinction. I mean, maybe there's a little distinction in the fact that when you give, the money itself, it's, you opened up your hand. When you gave it online, it's sort of like you didn't sense any, you didn't really open up your hand. Figuratively, you did, but literally, you didn't, right?
A little element of
And so there's something in, because one of the things of why it's so hard to give up our money is because we worked hard for it, firstly. And even if we didn't work hard for it, it could bring more to my life. It could add to my life. It could add pleasure to my life. It could add comfort to my life, right? I could have more. And therefore, that makes it harder to open up your hand. So when it's in your hand and you're giving it, you feel much more. There's much greater refinement that will happen in your giving. Is that the only? But that's the bottom line, is give it, right? That's the bottom line. That's the real truth.
For example, we shouldn't be thinking what I could buy with this if I that's maybe the challenge.
Yeah, but and sometimes there might be a request, but the only way that can be dealt with is if you can do it online.
If what?
If you can donate the funds online.
Yes, I know. That's called giving. It's in the end, you've done the mitzvah. You've given. Not your bank account's a bit less now, and the other person got it, and they now can have more bread on their table. They could have more in their life, right? They could buy now a chitas book they could learn chitas because they're poor in the mind, because that's really what poorness is. That's why giving also to, not just to physically person down and out, but spiritually person down and out, right? That's like when you give to Chabad. I mean, sometimes we give physically, but there's also giving to the spiritual needs of a person, which ultimately is even greater than the physical needs, right? That's more important need. Although the first need is like, it's hard to learn Chumash and Rashi if you're hungry. So hence we have breakfast here, folks. So no one goes hungry, and we share. Alexander Borat. Okay, thank you everybody for your beautiful wishes and heartfelt wishes. I appreciate that immensely. Thank you very much. And amazing. So I'm asking for a birthday gift from everybody. So a birthday gift. Think of a mitzvah that you're going to take upon yourself, right? So for Jewish men who don't put on tefillin yet, and if you can take upon yourself to put on tefillin every day, or something of that nature, whoa, that would be amazing. And anybody who's going to take a mitzvah upon themselves, I'm writing into the Rebbe. I would like to write in your mitzvah. If your mitzvah is going to be tzedakah, that's also good. And if you're going to, but not a mitzvah, I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a better human being or a better Jew, or I'm going to do more mitzvahs. That's not a resolution. That's not a resolve to, it needs to be very specific. So if it's tzedakah and you want to give to our Chai Club monthly giving, fine. Or you want to give one time, whatever it is, that's also fine. Whatever it is, but or even or giving again a Jewish woman lighting Shabbos candles, someone who isn't Jewish. So there's 7 Noachide laws, which charity is an integral one. There's many details. Anyways, whatever you choose, tell me, private message me, and I'm going to share that with the Rebbe, that you get a blessing on this day with the Rebbe. And just to give the Rebbe Nachas that through my birthday, many people took upon themselves more as a result. That is, something amazing. So the Chai Club is chabadzichrine.com/Chai Club, CHAI Club, one word. Or if you just Chabad Zichrain, you'll get it there. All right. I don't see any other questions, comments. Again, whatever mitzvah you take upon yourself, that's amazing. What if you give charity to someone that was just scamming you? What happens then when it came from the heart? Good question. Is it charity? Consider it as charity, and God will consider it as charity because you meant good. But learn from it to be careful. Okay? So just go to Chabad Zichron, Chabad CHABAD Zichron ZICHRON.com. It's all one word. Or if you look up Tanya Rabbi, you'll somehow find it. All right. Folks, Rambam is coming up. Amazing. Thank you all. God bless you all.